Hey, this is Blake Williams with Battle Tested, and today's story time is number 38, titled The Extra Mile. I first of all want to recognize today is Memorial Day, and so thankful for those that paid the ultimate price so that we could have our freedom here in the U.S. This past week there was no story time because I was actually out of the U.S. I was in the Canadian wilderness with a group of guys where we spent 5 nights totally off the grid, canoeing, fishing, doing some hiking, and just living without running water, cell towers, anything. Camping to the extreme. And had a blast. This was my 3rd trip, and I always tend to learn things from the trip. But here's one thing that I wanted to share from this year's experience. We had one day where we kind of went out canoeing. We did an excursion from our base camp, and I think we wound up rowing that day or paddling that day 12 miles in that canoe. Long, hard day, but we saw some great things, a frozen waterfall and different things we saw. So that evening had rolled around, and we were staying right next to a waterfall, and we climbed the top of the waterfall. The guys are swimming in some of the shallow water at the top of the waterfall, cooling off, rinsing off. And the guy who led our trip, my great friend John, said, "Hey, does anybody want to bring our canoes up here to try to find the lake that is feeding this waterfall?" And I right away jumped in and said, "Yeah, I'll do that. That sounds like fun." Nobody else chose to. They'd worked hard that day. They were tired, as we all were, and they decided to just stay behind at that waterfall location, which is fine. So John and I grab a canoe and we find the portage. That's the trail that leads from lake to lake. And we had to climb this very steep portage. Some effort required for both of us to get this canoe up to the top where we found the stream, which then led to another portage. So we're still looking for this lake where that is feeding this waterfall. So we get out of our canoe at this next portage, and instead of taking our canoe right away, we decide just to walk it to see what's ahead of us, to see, is it worth our time to carry this canoe further along this trail. And we're getting to the end of this second portage, and we see it. We see the edge of the lake that is feeding this waterfall. And on the edge of that lake is the biggest, baddest looking bald eagle I had ever seen. And I'm literally 25 feet from this bald eagle who is on the ground feeding off a fish it had just caught. And I've never been that close to a bald eagle before. I don't even know if in the zoo I've ever been that close to a bald eagle ever. So it was amazing. And I just think if I had said no to the adventure that John had invited me into, I would have missed that. Had I not gone the extra mile, I'd already put in a lot of work. I was tired. I was probably a little hungry. Had I not gone the extra mile, though, to take this extra step into this adventure, I would have missed out on that great opportunity to witness that. And so, of course, it makes me think about just us in life, us in our sports. If you're an athlete playing for a coach, right? Do we go the extra mile? Do we put it upon ourselves to go the extra mile to try to get the most out of our day, out of the opportunities that we have in front of us? Are we trying to become our best, or are we just kind of doing the bare minimum? Skating by, whether that's in your sport, whether that's in your career, I'm just doing the bare minimum. I want to just meet requirements versus having the attitude that I want to exceed requirements. I want to go out there and get the most out of each day so that I know that when I lay my head on that pillow at night, man, I feel good about what all I accomplished today, that I made myself better today, so that tomorrow I'm farther along than I was today. Are you going the extra mile? There just always seems to be that in life, when I've chosen to go the extra mile, there are rewards waiting for me on the other side. The other guys who chose not to go the extra mile with us that day did not get to enjoy that. And I think there's a great lesson in that. Go the extra mile. Go the extra mile. Find ways this week in your work and your marriage, your relationships, whatever it is. in your team camps you're going to be starting soon, find ways to go the extra mile. Even without a coach asking you to do it, without a boss asking you to do it, find ways to exceed expectations, to go the extra mile, to challenge yourself to become better. And I hope you have a great week.